What do you consider a big waste of money? Lot of baby toys. You spend hundreds on certain flashy, expensive gifts that just sit unused in the corner, and then they play with that knick-knack you picked up from the dollar store all the time. I know it's a bit cliche, but my experience so far is that kids often just want to play with a cardboard box, so to speak. You don't need to spend hundreds on a 1-3-year-old in terms of toys and games. Yeah, save the money for when they are older and find expensive hobbies. Toddlers are easily entertained. Teens are not. Going to my goddaughter's day party later. She turns 2 today. I just bought a car so my funds are tied up and I felt bad that I only got her a book and a plush Minnie Mouse doll, both of which she loves. Wish I could afford more, but TBHIDK, what the hell a 2-year-old could use want. ISPs that still don't offer unlimited data plans. We've had data caps for decades in Canada. Looks like they've been dropping it on expensive packages as the norm. First world country. Third world internet and mobile network. Designer clothing for children. That's where Enter Swag comes in. Designer clothing. Made for children. Made by children. The Onion made a video about this lol. Made of children. Agreed, I think it's asinine to drop $100 or so on Nikes. Your toddler son is going to grow out of 3 months. All I think about is how much my kid actually wears his shoes. He's barefoot most of the time. Everything I buy, I swear I get buyer's remorse about everything I buy the older I get. It's the opposite with me. When I was younger I had buyer's remorse because I had to without something else I couldn't afford then. Now I think, let it be just money. If I can throw money at something and it solves the problem, so be it. A few weeks ago I hadn't had a particular tool I needed for a task. I just got in my car, grabbed the next best tool the salesman recommended, and I was happy. 20 years ago I had to study buyer's guides and check the pros and cons and hadn't be sure about the tool even after I bought it. My Steam library. Laundromats. Cost me $13.50 to wash 3 loads of laundry this morning. Can't wait for my washer to get here. Co-worker bragged a couple of years ago about getting a washer and dryer from a rent-owned place for $1,600 with his payments about $100 a month for 2 years. I told him we bought ours from the used appliance store for $200 a piece with $50 delivery regardless of how many you bought. I don't get why people buy stuff from rent-owned places. I live on an apartment without washer-dryer hookups. I don't pay for water. That is part of the rent. So I bought a small portable washing machine. Only does 1 load at a time. Small load. Cost me less than $100. And bought it over a year ago. I figure that based upon the money it costs to wash clothes in the apartment laundromats, I have already paid for my washer, and now washing clothes only cost what I pay for detergent. You bought a what? A washer? That works without a hookup? I was unaware these existed, and my complex recently took the laundromat down to make room for a new fitness center. I now have to drive to laundromat and am generally salty over the whole situation. My water is flat rated, so thank you for your comment. I'm going to look into these. I did the same thing when I lived in Nick. I also bought a 110 volt portable dryer, which took forever to dry, but was much better than trying to go to laundromat with a baby. I lived in the projects in Brooklyn at the time. Electric and water were included in my rent. Thanks Nature for paying for my laundry during those years. Cable. Once some couple of years ago it was cheaper to bundle internet and TV cable. Now if you unbundle and only want to keep the internet, it's twice as much as it was before. $70 for internet, or bundle and pay $115 for TV and internet. We cut the cord years ago and kept the big 3, Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime. We use an antenna for local TV. We're happy with it and we don't have to haggle every year to get the introductory rate. Same except without the Hulu. Also, I spent $100 on a big rooftop attic antenna and mounted it in the attic. Routed the cable to the junction box that feeds cable to every room. And now every TV in the house has consistent and much better reception plus more channels than the little antennas were receiving. I paid $20 a month to have an extra cell phone that does nothing but sits on the table and works as a hotspot for my smart TV. There's enough free on there that I don't need to buy extra. Having just purchased a new car, 90% of what the dealership tries to upsell you on, VIN etching, seat paint protection, nitrogen filled tires, helps with tire pressure when temperatures change, but they try to convince you that it gives you better mileage, extended warranties. All of it is just a money grab and adds nothing to the value or functionality safety of the vehicle. Just say no. They tried getting my dad with the nitrogen-filled tires. He asked why they did that. The salesperson told him it was better. My dad says he doesn't want it and isn't paying for it. The salesperson says, but we already filled them, as if that would change my dad's mind. Lol. My dad tells the salesperson, okay, well either unfill them or don't charge me. Those are your choices. I dislike dealerships. I feel as though the salespeople think they are all slick and business savvy as they attempt to charge you for bullsh. Hell. When I was buying my car, they had a charge of $1,400 tacked on, listed as so and so town dealership experience, which amounted to them wanting to charge me $1,400 for letting me sit in a room that had a TV to watch and bottles of water to drink. The whole experience was effing weird. The salesman I had launched into a story about how he was cheating on his fiancée and started showing me pictures of the girl he was seeing in lingerie. Effing bizarre. I had a similar situation at a dealer a while back. They wanted to sell me the ignition interlock security device for $999. I said no. The price went to $499. I said no. The guy says it's already installed. I said then uninstall it. He says it'll take 15 minutes. I say, I've been here 4 hours. I can wait 15 more minutes. In the end, the thing is so cheap, they didn't actually remove it. They broke off the security key in the slot. Must be really valuable. Bought a new truck last year. After we agreed on the price, they tried to upsell me on a special rust proofing. The guy literally started the speech with, how much do you know about rust? After his 15-minute spiel, I told him the truth. I'm a corrosion specialist. I know more about rust than the people who wrote script on rust prevention, and here are the 10 flat out lies you just told me. I did not buy the extra sealer, and just keep saying no. I bought a car for the first time in February and the woman kept asking me if I wanted this and that, to which I said no. She kept asking me why I didn't want these things and I simply stated I don't want it. I don't need it. It adds nothing of value to my car. That seemed to shut her up. Also, read your contract. My woman actually told me, you know, most people don't read the contract. You can just sign it. No. One sales guy used a trick or offering me the standard, premium and premium plus packages as if I had to pick one. Most people not paying attention would pick the standard as it's the cheapest of the three, not realizing they can just say no. Auto technician here. Nitrogen in your tires does absolutely effing nothing for you. Do not ever pay for that, ever. Funerals. Going into debt over a dead person is probably not the legacy they would have wanted. My mother said, bury me in a cardboard box and plant an apple tree over me. Turned out to not be legally possible. When my grandmother was checking out, she told my mom to cremate her in the cardboard box provided by the hospital, and if 1 thin cent was spent on a casket or burial, she'd come back and haunt us good. You can only be denied permission if you actually ask for it. In Muslim cemeteries we're literally buried in a white cloth. No fancy coffin or service. Just a 15 minutes janazah, funeral, and you're done. We also don't believe in open casket funerals because we believe that it hurts the dignity of the dead and the grieving family. There's really no rule stopping you from putting up trees on the deceased graves. A whole lot of us, including me, do it because it's a ton cheaper than buying a marble headstone. My mom's uncle said once to us that in order for us not to pay for anything fancy, he preferred to be put in a plastic and be thrown to the sea. We laughed so hard that evening and he's still going strong at the age of 85. I recently had the unenviable task of setting up the cremation for my father-in-law. I was shocked that it was both affordable and the funeral home did not make any effort to upsell me. I think the whole thing, including pickup from the hospital, cremation, multiple copies of death certificate, and return of the ashes in a simple even tasteful plastic container was $1,700. Michigan. When I called they literally told me every cost, some of them as low as $5. I was loaded for bear and prepared to fight every sort of upsell and there was zero upsell. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I've had trees removed from the property that cost me more. I think the funeral industry is turning away from the sales model as a whole. When my mom died we had the same experience. It was just completely compassionate and about what we actually wanted. Paid $1,800 for the same thing in California. This was 2017. Cremate me, have a bigger lay party where you share your favorite memories with me, then move on with your life. My uncle had the best plan. Instead of sappy reflections, he insisted that his memorial after his cremation be basically a roast, which is hilarious in itself. It was great to have family and friends laughing instead of just crying.